views man as a highly evolved animal, superior to every other life form on the planet, but still an animal. Man is viewed as the pinnacle of evolution. And so, with man as his own God, he has gone on to try to understand his own self and to compartmentalize those things of the species, and again, talking other human beings who they see who are not as evolved or developed or wise or intelligent or stable as they are. So even within humanity, you've got human beings who look down on other human beings. Full well man, in his interpretation of infinite wisdom and intelligence, rejects the very notion of a divine supernatural creator or the idea of sin. So how in the world is he going to understand his own self? They reject, a divine supernatural creator, but yet will readily admit, oh yes, all the technology that we have, well, we created that, yeah. Okay. But you exist because a couple of rocks in a hot puddle rubbed up against each other and presto created a PhD. Yet there is so very much psychological wisdom contained within the Scriptures that clearly explains man's ways so that he can understand his own self. Problem is, man doesn't want to understand the truth of his own self. Matthew 13. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 14 and 15. He's been educated outside of his intelligence. Matthew 13, verse 14 and 15. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand. And seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. Unregenerate man rejects the Scriptures out of hand, refusing to even consult them because in their hearts they know that they're going to find something they don't want to find. They're going to understand themselves in a way that they would rather not. They prefer, as it says in verse 17 in our text, the bread of deceit as compared to cold hard facts. God is in control of man. Full control of man. And until one comes to the point of accepting and believing what God has said about man, then man is going to continue to grope along in the dark. And in the end find themselves in hell, needlessly. All right, verse 25. It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry. We need to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. So just after Proverbs, book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verses 1 through 6. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 1, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou art upon the earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it. For he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow, than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin. Neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? The principle being taught by the proverb is, do not ask the Lord to do for you, promising that you're going to do something in return, only then to attempt to talk your way out of what you promised before the Lord after he's done that which you asked him to do. I mean, who are we to even begin to think that we have the power to bargain with God? To think so infers that we believe we have the power to constrain the Lord to an obligation based upon our own power and ability. The Lord is not going to be used by anybody to fulfill their selfish ends. Wisdom dictates that we say little and remain humble before God. Now certainly give your requests to the Lord. Come to him in prayer, but then you accept his will in the matter. But to attempt to persuade God by bargaining and making promises to him can very likely place you in a situation that you would much rather not find yourself in when God does what you asked him to do. And that's exactly what that is talking about there. It is a snare to the man who devoureth that which is holy, and after vows to make inquiry. Well, things have changed, and no, you make a vow to God, you better keep it, because he expects you to. Okay? He says he's going to do something, he's going to keep his word, he expects the same out of you. You better be careful about thinking that you have the ability to bargain with and hold God to something, and then think that you can turn around and then get out of it. Now, yeah, you can lift up to the Lord promises that he's made. Say, Lord, you said, that you would do these things. Okay. You can remind him, not that you need to. He knows. He's going to do what's right. We've got to learn to trust God's wisdom about things. We don't always see what God's end and purpose is. I had a fellow at the nursing home, I'll close with this yesterday, a new fellow there named Paul. who asked me to talk to him after the service. In talking with him, I determined he has trusted Jesus Christ as his Savior. But he's talking about how suddenly now he's having these attacks coming on him ever since he trusted Christ. And he said, I don't understand it. He said, it's because you picked up some enemies when you got saved, Paul. And he's saying, so you're saying God's letting me go through these things. So I explained to him, his purpose in you is to now conform you to the image of his Son, Jesus Christ. And one of the things that he needs to build up in you is faith, to trust him and what he said. So, pray for that young man, Paul, there. He does have the ability to get out and walk and come down to the church, so I'm hoping, he may not do it today with the rain and stuff, but we had a good meeting there yesterday. Need to really think about that thing when we go to the Lord in prayer. Okay, be careful about bargaining with God. You say, okay, well, if you'll do this for me, God, I will do that. Well, he's going to expect you to keep your end of it, let me tell you. Let me tell you. All right, we'll stop there for this morning. Does anybody have any questions for me? Any comments on the lesson? Any verses you would like me to repeat for you? All right, go ahead.